India's Chief Economic Advisor Arvind Subramanian there. Now, it's estimated that there are more than 20 million people in India with physical and mental disabilities, many of whom live in poverty because they lack access to education and employment. Now, some private and public sector firms are trying to tackle the problem. But can it be financially viable to make workplaces more inclusive? I've been finding out.
Every day is a busy day for a hotel's concierge. Moving bags around and making sure they reach the right guest rooms is something Ravi Shankar does well. The 23-year-old is hearing and speech impaired, something that doesn't stop him from doing his job.
I love my job. I want to work hard and become the manager one day. Having a full-time job means I can now save for my sister's wedding expenses and maybe I'll get married one day too.
650 AI.
Ravi Shankar is one of the 400 employees with disabilities at Lemon Tree Hotels. The group has hired people with speech and hearing impairment, physical disabilities and those with Down syndrome in 27 hotels across India and has made it compulsory for all their staff to learn sign language. Now the company has an ambitious plan of a new property completely run by people with disabilities. The group chairman says while it'll involve additional costs, he thinks it'll be a good business model in the long run.
So it's no grand overarching, strategy. It's just that I think it's possible. And if it's possible once, we'll do it with 3 other hotels. It necessitates redesigning the hotel, making it definitely more accessible, not only from the front end, which is for guests, but for staff. We've started tackling it step by step. And what really excites me is to have an employee with disability as a general manager of the hotel. We haven't yet achieved that.
India has over 21 million people living with disabilities, out of which at least 1.2 million are unable to hear or speak or both. Yet there are very few specialized schools for them, forcing most to remain illiterate and unemployable. Now, corporate India is taking the lead in training and employing many of them, recognizing that hiring people with disabilities is good for the bottom line.
Like this specially abled KFC. Ordering your meal here involves pointing on the menu card. All employees are paid equally and get both kitchen duties as well as customer-facing roles. The company has found that outlets with disabled staff perform better and have more brand retention with customers. Starting with just one outlet, they now have 20 such restaurants.
We have 6 shift managers currently, and our goal is to have our first restaurant general manager running a business of about $500,000 to $1 million in 2016. Now, I feel that the model is so successful in India that I'm hoping that some of our other KFC markets use this model and then expand this program further.
Negative attitudes towards disability, at least in the Indian corporate world, are slowly beginning to change. And employers no longer look at inclusive hiring practices as an act of charity. Looking at the tangible economic benefits, many see a business case for including people with disabilities in the workforce.
A look at companies providing employment for people with disabilities there. Right, it's time now for a short break. When we come back, funny money. How a group of Indian stand-up comics is using the internet to earn a living.